If you have seen that headline, if you have read those words about visa freezes for 75 countries including Pakistan, and if your heart sank because you have a case pending, a family member waiting, or a dream of reuniting with loved ones in America, I want you to take a breath right now. I know exactly how terrifying it feels when you see words like freeze, chaos, and war, fears all in the same sentence. I know how quickly panic spreads through WhatsApp groups and how one forwarded message can ruin your entire day. But before you make any decisions based on fear, before you start believing everything you read online, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes because we are going to separate what is actually happening from what is being exaggerated, misunderstood, or completely made up. My name is Umar, and this is Real Guide Updates, your trusted source for immigration news based on facts, not fear. We do not do panic here. We do not spread rumors. What we do is break down complicated immigration situations into simple, clear information that you can actually use. And today, we have a lot to talk about because the headlines circulating right now are causing serious confusion for millions of people around the world. So let us get straight into what is actually going on with this reported visa freeze affecting Pakistan and dozens of other countries. First, I want to address the core claim that is spreading everywhere. The idea that the United States has suddenly frozen immigrant visas for 75 countries sounds absolutely devastating. It sounds like the American immigration system has just shut its doors on a massive portion of the world. But here is what you need to understand about how these situations actually work and why the reality is almost always more complicated than the headline. When we talk about a visa freeze, we need to be very specific about what kind of freeze we are discussing. There are different types of actions that can affect visa processing. There are executive orders that can suspend certain visa categories. There are administrative processing delays that can slow down cases for specific nationalities. There are embassy closures or reduced operations that can create backlogs. And there are security-related holds that can pause processing while additional vetting takes place. Each of these situations is different, and they affect different groups of people in different ways. What appears to be happening right now, based on the information available from official channels and credible reporting, is not a complete freeze in the traditional sense. What we are seeing is a combination of increased administrative processing requirements, extended security checks for applicants from certain countries, and processing delays related to geopolitical tensions in various regions. This is significantly different from a blanket ban or a total shutdown of visa issuance. Let me explain what administrative processing actually means, because this is where a lot of confusion comes from. When your visa application goes into administrative processing, it means that the consular officer needs additional time to review your case. This could be because of your field of work, your travel history, your connections to certain regions, or simply because your application requires additional security screening. Administrative processing is not a rejection. It is not a denial. It is a pause while your case receives additional review. Now, is administrative processing increasing for applicants from Pakistan and other countries on this list of 75? Based on current reports, yes, there does appear to be an increase in cases being placed into extended review. But this is not the same as saying that visas are frozen or that green cards are no longer being issued. Cases are still being processed. Approvals are still happening. People are still receiving their immigrant visas and traveling to the United States. The key question you should be asking is not whether there is a freeze, but rather how much longer processing might take and what you can do to ensure your case moves forward as smoothly as possible. Let us talk about the connection to Iran and the war fears mentioned in these headlines. Geopolitical tensions always have some impact on immigration processing, particularly for countries and regions where the United States has security concerns. When tensions rise with Iran or any other nation, the United States government typically increases its vigilance regarding visa applications from that region and neighboring countries. This is standard procedure, and it has happened before during previous periods of heightened tensions. What this means practically is that some applications may take longer to process. Some applicants may be asked additional questions during their interviews. Some cases may require more documentation or additional evidence, but increased scrutiny is not the same as a shutdown. The system is still functioning, just with additional layers of review in place. I want to be very clear about something important. If you have a pending immigrant visa case, whether it is a family-based petition, an employment-based green card, or a diversity visa, your case has not been canceled simply because of these headlines. Your petition is still in the system. Your priority date still matters. The legal process that governs immigration to the United States is still in effect. Now let me address some of the specific rumors and misinformation that are spreading, because I have seen some truly alarming claims that have no basis in reality. One rumor I have seen is that all green card interviews have been canceled indefinitely for Pakistani nationals and citizens of the other countries on this list. This is not accurate. Interviews are still being scheduled. Some embassies may have reduced their appointment slots due to staffing issues or security concerns, but interviews have not been universally canceled. If you have a scheduled interview, you should plan to attend it unless you receive official communication from the embassy telling you otherwise. Another rumor is that approved petitions are being revoked, or that people who already have approved immigrant visas will not be allowed to travel. Again, this is not accurate based on current information. If you have an approved immigrant visa, you should be able to use it to travel to the United States within its validity period. If you have concerns about a specific situation, contact the embassy directly or consult with an immigration attorney, but do not assume the worst based on social media posts. A third rumor I have seen is that this is a permanent policy change and that immigration from these countries will never recover. This is absolutely not how immigration policy works. Immigration rules and processing procedures can change, and they do change, but they also change back. Temporary measures related to security concerns are exactly that: temporary. Processing times fluctuate based on many factors, and periods of increased delays are typically followed by periods where things speed up again. Let me also clarify who is actually affected by increased processing times and who is not, because the headlines make it sound like everyone from these 75 countries is impacted equally, and that is simply not the case. If you are already in the United States on a valid status, whether you are on a work visa, a student visa, or any other legal status, these processing delays at overseas consulates do not directly affect you. You are in the country legally, and your status is governed by the terms of your current visa and any applications you have pending with United States citizenship and immigration services. If you are a green card holder, you are not affected by visa processing delays. Your status as a permanent resident is already established, and you can continue to live and work in the United States as you always have. If you are a United States citizen with pending petitions for family members overseas, your petition remains valid. The underlying approval of your petition has not changed. What may be affected is how long it takes for your family member to complete the visa interview process abroad. If you are outside the United States waiting for an immigrant visa interview, this is where you may experience longer wait times. But I want to emphasize again that waiting longer is not the same as being denied. Patience is difficult, especially when you are separated from family, but patience is also necessary when dealing with government processes that involve security considerations. Now let me talk about what you should actually do if you are concerned about your case. The first and most important thing is to check official sources. Do not rely on WhatsApp forwards, Facebook posts, or even news headlines without verifying the information. The official website of the United States Department of State is travel.state.gov, and this is where you can find current information about visa processing at specific embassies. The website for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services is USCIS.gov, and this is where you can check the status of petitions filed within the United States. If you have a pending case and you want to know its current status, use the official case tracking tools provided by these agencies. For immigrant visa cases being processed abroad, you can often check your case status through the Consular Electronic Application Center, known as CEAC. For cases with USCIS, you can use the online case status tool by entering your receipt number. If you have a scheduled interview, prepare for it as you normally would. Gather all required documents, practice answering common interview questions, and make sure your medical examination is complete. Do not assume your interview will be canceled unless you receive official notification. If you are in the early stages of the immigration process and you are worried about whether to proceed, my advice is generally to continue with your case. Immigration processes take years, not weeks. The situation today may be very different by the time your case reaches the final stages. Abandoning a case because of temporary processing concerns often means losing the progress you have already made. If your case has been in administrative processing for an extended period, understand that there is usually little you can do to speed it up. Repeated inquiries to the embassy generally do not help and can sometimes slow things down. The difficult truth is that some cases take longer than others, and the reasons are not always explained to applicants. If you believe your case has been unreasonably delayed, or if you have been waiting for an extraordinary amount of time, consulting with an immigration attorney may be worthwhile. An attorney can sometimes file a mandamus action in federal court to compel the government to make a decision on a case that has been pending for too long. This is not appropriate for every situation, but it is an option that exists for cases that have been stalled for years. I also want to talk about the importance of managing expectations and emotions during uncertain times like these. It is completely natural to feel anxious when you see scary headlines about immigration. For many of you watching, this is not just about paperwork or legal processes. This is about your family. This is about your future. This is about years of hope and planning and sacrifice. I understand that, and I respect the weight of what you are carrying. But I have also seen how fear and panic can lead people to make bad decisions. I have seen people pay money to scammers who promise to fix their cases. I have seen people abandon legitimate applications because they believed false information. I have seen people travel when they should not have traveled, or stay when they should have left, all because they acted on rumors instead of facts. Your best protection in uncertain times is accurate information from reliable sources. It is not the fastest response or the most dramatic reaction. It is calm, careful, fact-based decision-making. Let me also remind you that immigration rules do not typically change overnight without warning. The United States has a legal system that includes due process, congressional oversight, and judicial review. Major changes to immigration policy are usually announced through official channels, published in the Federal Register, and subject to legal challenges. While executive actions can create sudden changes, even those actions are typically followed by implementation guidance, clarifications, and court cases that shape how they are actually applied. This does not mean you should ignore potential changes. It means you should respond proportionally to what is actually happening rather than to what you fear might happen. I want to take a moment to address viewers who may be affected by this situation but are from countries other than Pakistan. The reports suggest that approximately 75 countries are experiencing increased processing scrutiny. Many of these countries are in regions where the United States has ongoing security concerns, including parts of the Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa. If you are from one of these countries, everything I have said about Pakistan applies to you as well. The same principles apply. Check official sources. Verify information. Continue with your cases. Seek professional advice when needed. For viewers who are specifically concerned about the Iran situation and how potential military conflict could affect immigration, I want to be honest that this is an area of genuine uncertainty. No one can predict with certainty what will happen geopolitically or how the government will respond. What I can tell you is that previous periods of heightened tension with Iran have not resulted in complete shutdowns of immigration from neighboring countries. They have resulted in increased vetting, longer processing times, and additional security measures, but the immigration system has continued to function. If you are making long-term plans that depend on immigration outcomes, it is reasonable to have contingency plans. It is reasonable to consider what you would do if processing takes longer than expected. It is reasonable to prepare for uncertainty. But it is not reasonable to abandon your goals entirely based on speculative fears about what might happen. Let me now provide some context about why processing delays happen and why they vary so much from country to country and case to case. The United States processes millions of visa applications every year through embassies and consulates around the world. The capacity of these posts varies significantly. Some embassies have large consular sections with many officers who can conduct interviews every day. Others have small teams that can only process a limited number of cases. Security screening processes also vary based on the applicant's profile. Some people can be cleared through automated database checks within hours. Others require manual review by specialized units, which can take weeks or months. The factors that determine which category you fall into are not publicly disclosed, and applicants often have no way of knowing why their case is taking longer than someone else's. Staffing issues at embassies also play a major role. During the pandemic, many consular posts reduced operations significantly, and they are still working through the backlogs that built up during that period. Some posts have returned to full capacity, while others have not. This creates uneven processing times that have nothing to do with policy changes and everything to do with practical limitations. Understanding these factors can help you put your own situation in perspective. A delay in your case does not necessarily mean something is wrong. It may simply reflect the reality of how immigration processing works at the specific post handling your application. As we approach the end of this discussion, I want to leave you with some key points to remember. First, headlines are designed to get attention, not to give you complete information. Always look beyond the headline to understand what is actually happening. Second, immigration processes are complex and they move slowly. This is frustrating, but it also means that dramatic changes rarely happen as quickly as people fear. Third, your case is individual. What happens to someone else, even someone from the same country or with a similar case type, may not reflect what will happen to you. Fourth, official sources are your best resource for accurate information. Use them. Bookmark them. Check them regularly. Fifth, if you are truly concerned about your specific situation, consult with a licensed immigration attorney who can review your case and give you personalized advice. General information, including everything I share on this channel, cannot replace professional guidance tailored to your circumstances. I want to thank you for staying with me through this entire discussion. I know it is a lot of information, and I know many of you are watching because you are genuinely worried about your future or the future of someone you love. I hope that I have been able to provide some clarity and some reassurance without minimizing the real challenges that exist. If this video has been helpful to you, I would be grateful if you would subscribe to Real Guide updates and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on important immigration news. We are committed to bringing you accurate, calm, and useful information on everything happening in the world of immigration, particularly as it relates to the United States. If you know someone who is worried about this situation, whether they are in Pakistan, in another affected country, or anywhere else in the world, please share this video with them. Accurate information is the best antidote to fear, and you can help by spreading facts instead of rumors. Finally, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below telling me what immigration topics you want me to cover next. If you have questions about your specific situation, put them in the comments as well. While I cannot give individual legal advice, I read every comment and I use your questions to guide future content. Stay calm, stay informed. And remember, no matter how scary the headlines get, the path forward is always clearer when you focus on facts instead of fear. I will see you in the next video.